Part 2 about how my boyfriend found out that I had an OnlyFans. So like I said, I made the OnlyFans and I didn't tell him about it. And I was only putting stuff on there like twice a week. But then my friend promoted me and I started making a lot more money. But then I started putting stuff on there every time that my boyfriend would go to work. So a month goes by and my boyfriend realizes that I have way more money than I did before. And he keeps asking me about it, but I tell him don't worry about it. Which definitely seemed really sus. Anyways, the one day while he's at work, I'm taking some pics for my OF. And I'm blasting my music. And I turn around and lo and behold, who do you think was standing in the doorway? My boyfriend. And he has his phone out and he's recording me. So then he started explaining to me that because since I gave him such bad trust issues and I wouldn't tell him where I was getting the extra money, he set up cameras in the house. And he's been watching me for 2 weeks straight. He's still recording on his phone at this time. So we broke up and now there's a video of me half naked on YouTube and him exposing me. Part 2 about how my boyfriend caught me cheating on him with his older brother. So we heard the door open downstairs, and at this point we were both naked. So I ran to my boyfriend's room as fast as I could, and as soon as he came upstairs, he saw me without any clothes on. So then I had to play it off like I was ready to do the nasty with him. So for the next 2 weeks straight, I was going to my boyfriend's house and doing the nasty with his brother while he was at soccer practice. Well, the one day after his brother and I did the nasty, I fell asleep in his brother's bed. So my boyfriend came upstairs. And he didn't see me anywhere, so he was knocking on his brother's door. And we didn't hear anything because we were sleeping, so he just opened the door. And I woke up and he was screaming at both of us. So him and his brother got into a fight, like literally fist fighting. I was trying to break it up, but then I was also trying to put clothes on. And when my boyfriend saw me trying to get dressed, he took my clothes and told me to get out. And when I wouldn't get out because I didn't have clothes, so he literally grabbed me and threw me outside. And then he came back and threw a towel at me, so I had to walk home with only a towel on.
Part 2 on how me and my dad walked into my mom sleeping with my brother. So like I said, this day I sprained my ankle, so my dad left his job early and picked me up. And again, my ankle wasn't too bad, but my coach wanted to send me home just so I can heal and not make it worse by putting pressure on it. Regardless, once me and my dad got home, everything changed. Once we walked into the house, we immediately heard weird sounds. We looked at each other and confirmed that, yeah, that's definitely moaning. My dad immediately thought my mom was cheating, but we just didn't know with who. The moaning was coming from my parents' room, which was just, why? At least have respect for the bed. Anywho, I limped my way over to the door with my dad. My dad opened up the door and my mom was on top of my brother, literally riding that pony. And the war began, like for part 3.
Story time, my boyfriend beat up his ex-girlfriend because she tried to kill me. So it was my sophomore year in high school and I had just gotten with this guy who was fresh out of a relationship. And let me tell you a little bit about his ex-girlfriend. So before him and I even started dating, him and his ex-girlfriend were together for like 2 years. And guys, this girl was fucking psychotic. Like, let me give you a quick example. Last year, I had a class with him and her, and the teachers assigned partners for this one project. Well, her boyfriend got paired up with this other girl. And anybody who would even talk to her boyfriend would get jumped by her and 8 of her friends. So his girlfriend starts being buddy-buddy with this girl. And his girlfriend goes, oh, do you want to come to the bathroom to hit my dab pen? So the girl says, yeah, thinking that she's being all nice and shit. So they both go to the bathroom and they're gone for like 25 minutes. So I asked to go to the bathroom because I want to see what's going on. So I walk into the auditorium bathroom and nobody's really around that bathroom. And this bitch is getting beat the fuck up. Like for part 2.
Part 2 of how my nudes got exposed to literally everybody in my hometown. Continuing on with the story, after my mom is yelling at me for 5 minutes straight, she turns her phone around and I see my nudes on her phone. She keeps scrolling and they're literally on like 5 different Instagram pages. My heart sank literally so far that I couldn't even cry. My mom told me to explain, but before I can even explain, she was already yelling at me, taking my phone and sent me to my room. About 20 minutes later, after my mom calmed down, she came in my room. She said she was highly disappointed in me, handed me my phone, and told me to handle the situation myself. I FaceTimed my boyfriend. He said he had literally no clue what happened. After like 5 nights of having a mental breakdown, not even being able to go to school, I found out that they were sent to a group chat. So my boyfriend sent them to a group chat of about 20 boys, and they decided to literally send them to everybody, including emailing them to the principal, sending them to everybody's parents, putting them all over every social media possible. I then went homeschooled because I got bullied so bad for it. And I did break up with that Jacob kid. A couple days later, my ex's 20-year-old brother texts me. He sent me my own nudes asking to hook up. If I was smart, I would have went no face, no case, but I didn't.
Story time about the guy who pretended to be gay in high school to get closer to all the girls. So it was the first day of my freshman year, and at lunch this guy came and sat with me and my friends. And we were super confused because he was like one of the popular boys. And we were like, oh, why aren't you sitting with your friends? And he's like, oh, because ever since I came out as gay, they don't want to be friends with me anymore, and they're being super mean to me. So we felt really bad, and we started getting to know him, and he was actually a really cool person. So we started inviting him to our sleepovers and everything like that. And because he was gay, we felt really comfortable getting dressed around him, talking about things that we wouldn't talk about in front of anybody. So like 2 months go past, and at this point he knows so much about us, like stuff that nobody else knew. Like, he even knew that one of my friends was born with both private parts, which is something that she never told anybody except for me and the girls in my friend group. Well, we're all on FaceTime the one day, and my friend goes, oh, have you ever seen boobs before? And he goes, no. So we all lift up our shirt like for part 2. Story time about how my boyfriend was cheating on me for 3 months straight at his new job. So a little background information. At this point in our relationship, I did not have much trust for him because of his cheating in the past. Well, when he got this new job, I decided that I was going to start trusting him. I don't know why, stupidest thing I've ever done. So a month goes past, he's been working at this place for a while, and he comes home one night with a girl's phone number in his pocket. And I'm like, whose phone number is this? He's like, oh, one of the girls that I work with wants me to talk about her problems with her. So I threw the number away, and I started to get really paranoid. But every time that I would get paranoid, he would be like, babe, I'm not doing anything, you know, like, I really love you, I'm trying to change. And he said that literally every night. And his brother worked with him. Well, the one day he really pissed his brother off, so his brother was like, I'm telling her everything that you've been doing. So he calls me and says he's been fucking 2 other girls at work. Like for part 2. Part 2 of how my boyfriend wouldn't let me break up with him, so I cheated on him with his best friend. For the new people, Mike is the best friend and Jay is the guy who I was dating. Anyway, so we get to Mike's house, right? And we're all hanging out, and I was giving Mike a little bit more attention than I was giving Jay. Because obviously, I wasn't interested in Jay. So Jay decided to act like he was pissed off at me, right? And he walks out of the house, right? To see if I would chase after him. Like, obviously I'm not going to. So Mike and I are sitting there watching him walk down the street because he said he was going home. So Mike and I were sitting on the couch and we started making out. And then we heard the fucking front door open. And Jay's like, I can't believe you didn't come and talk to me after that, blah, blah, blah. What is this relationship? So then Mike steps in and he's like, yo, you need to drop her. She just tried to make out with me, blah, blah, blah. And I sat there and I was like, yeah, it's true. So Jay starts bawling his eyes out and goes to the fucking kitchen to grab a knife. So after that, Mike called the cops on him, and Mike and I are finally dating now.
Part 2 on how me and my dad walked into my mom sleeping with my brother. So like I said, this day I sprained my ankle, so my dad left his job early and picked me up. And again, my ankle wasn't too bad, but my coach wanted to send me home just so I can heal and not make it worse by putting pressure on it. Regardless, once me and my dad got home, everything changed. Once we walked into the house, we immediately heard, weird sounds. We looked at each other and confirmed that, yeah, that's definitely moaning. My dad immediately thought my mom was cheating, but we just didn't know with who. The moaning was coming from my parents' room, which was just, why? At least have respect for the bed. Anywho, I limped my way over to the door with my dad. My dad opened up the door and my mom was on top of my brother, literally riding that pony. And the war began. Like for part 3.